Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. We are excited you have decided to join us today.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Elevate Podcast Live. We are at it again. I'm Robert Kalin.
Mike Newman with you here. We're excited today. We've got a special guest with us.
That's right. We do. We have a very special guest, a great friend of mine, somebody that I've known for about 4 years since I started my business journey. She comes direct from the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce. She is the CEO and president of that organization. We are just blessed to have her. Welcome, Tara Doyle-Enneking.
Hi, thank you, Robert, Mike. Great to be here again.
Great to have you. Thanks.
So awesome. So we've actually done some Elevate stuff in the past. For those of you who are maybe watching this, you who attended the Elevate conference last year, you got to hear Tara talk about mentorship and the power of mentorship. Tara, I got a question for you. Let's lead with share one person that from your past that you can remember. Maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was a family member or something who has impacted your life.
Gosh, that's so easy. I feel like I formed this whole mentorship Blue Scarf Society program all around my great experience with Joanna Monroe. My husband and I, had owned a car dealership for 18 years that I helped run, but it was very much probably like a lot of small business owners, very much in a silo of just who you knew in your organization. I cared about our employees and our family that worked for us, and I really knew very little about what was happening in the community around me, other businesses. It was 18 years of tunnel vision just to kind of keep the baby going here. And so not really having a lot of opportunities to have mentors. Somewhere along the lines, I was asked to run for city council and kind of at the last minute threw my hat in the ring. And from that, it opened up a whole other world outside of the dealership. And a woman named Joanna Monroe, who is just this fantastic, savvy businesswoman. At the time, she was an executive VP over at True Blue. She's, an attorney. She is a very influential voice in the city of Tacoma. She was the board chair of a political action committee. So that's how I got introduced to her in that campaign. And, she kind of taught me how to be a grown-up businesswoman and really all that's entailed. Everything from how I should dress, wear my hair, speak, when not to speak, stop giggling, just things that, had she not right away captivated my trust. I, knew she was integrity driven. There were definitely things she said to me that had I not trusted her, I might have been offended, but I just knew she was really trying to put me in the best light to try to win this council race, and had a lot of resources and tools and insight to pass along. And I welcomed that journey with her.
That's awesome. And the reality is that we all need mentors like that in our life who can speak those things into our lives, right?
Right.
Because we don't know what we don't know, and we're all coming from our perspectives, and I love that. And what I want to say to our viewers really quick is, at any point during this conversation, feel free to drop a comment wherever you're listening from, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. Drop a comment. We're going to try and answer questions as we kind of go along. So feel free to jump in with that anytime.
Yeah. So, Tara, as you're looking at the things that you're working on right now, I know that part of the focus around what you're doing is helping people with their communication and that area of thing. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the new things that you're uncovering and that will help people as they continue to grow as leaders?
Absolutely. I feel very fortunate. During COVID, kind of opted to pursue my MBA at the University of Denver, and it was with an emphasis of executive leadership. So I have since completed that since I last saw you at the conference. And I love that I have this platform where everything that I learned that really got me excited about developing leaders is something that I can go right back to those, school books, the presentations, the PowerPoints, and just kind of make it my own. And then just push it right back out into the community. So a lot of that had to do with, kind of a whole new vernacular and the whole new way people are talking about leaders. When my husband and I, were running a car dealership, I really just sort of went with my gut and what I thought. And I was probably, sell, probably like old school leader and really not even thinking about my leadership style. And so when I had, started my own self-discovery, learning a little bit more about my insights profiles and really understanding my gaps and my personality that would be deficiencies for me to really grow to the level of leadership that today's sort of demands of a leader look like, I've really just leaned into this last 2 years and all that entailed. So I guess I would say I was, my eyes were awakened. Leadership looks very different now. We all are very familiar with the term EQ versus IQ and how your emotional intelligence may be, much more valuable than, the skills you're bringing to the table. Just reading situations, adapting, really speaking to develop others, not always, making it about you or ordering, but really asking questions in ways that people are uncovering their own strengths and potential. So I was fascinated by this line of communication and the way you would want to speak and develop those under you, and was so grateful that I actually had 2 years where it was the concentration, so it was always embedded in the program.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you actually just got a chance recently to go and speak on kind of this, DDO, pervasive communication, all these things that you're learning, the neuroscience behind leadership, to a chamber event. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. And so when I throw out the acronym DDO, it's a fairly new term. It's something out of Harvard Business School that some researchers, in speaking to, thousands of employers, employees, many businesses, were starting to kind of uncover the things that really did ignite or make systems work. And when I say systems, they recognize that your greatest asset in a business is your human capital. And so in what ways can they, fully develop them? So this DDO term is an organization that is deliberately developmental, an organization. So DDO is really just, again, a shift off of course, there's a bottom line and we all need to get there. But if you back up and really put the focus on those that are working for you and that you are really pulling them into your mission and they're aligned with your values, you're going to get so much more in the way of productivity and the bottom line. And that's what a lot of the research showed was once these employers really shifted their focus on asking the employees their opinion and not, telling, but, asking and having conversations and pulling them into that whole sort of production or development of the organization, it just changed things drastically. Even the way that some of these organizations are hiring folks. Charlie Kim, who's a CEO, I think it's Next Jump, is a high-tech company that, was out there to rival the best of the best, the Googles and, Apple and any of the most, I guess, critically acclaimed high-tech industry sectors. And in order to compete for the best talent out there, they knew, they would go to the MITs and Harvards to recruit their talent. But it was fascinating, just the panel of recruiters that they would have. They were only looking for a few qualities. And these qualities, they would ask a few questions and it would be a thumbs up or a thumbs down on if this person was in or out. And it would kind of fascinate you because somebody's resume could be so glowing, so perfect, a freaking genius, but maybe was almost too confident. And what does confidence do to a system? That confident, overly confident person may not be in touch enough with themselves to admit a mistake that they may have made. And that could be, fairly drastic in an organization. So they really looked for humbleness and character and even when they hired and made their, hiring decisions, they wouldn't even start the employee until they went through a boot camp. And the boot camp, they would sort of show them this flight jacket, like this flight jacket will be yours once you go through boot camp. Yeah. And for each person, that journey looked different through the boot camp. But a lot of it was just to kind of, again, break it down. Are you going to be real? Are you going to, just again, if you were a little overly confident, where are we going to see your vulnerabilities and what does that look like? And until they saw that break in whatever specific area they were looking for, they would not get that jacket. And some folks would really, go through that boot camp and realize they couldn't get there. And Next Jump just would actually pay them, I can't remember if it was $10,000, and just said, thanks, no thanks. We're not in alignment. It just mattered so much to the culture of the company to have the right people there. So getting to hear stories like that and understanding, there's a lot of employers and business owners that are really embracing this sort of culture to deliberately develop the others underneath them was fascinating, because from that now there's also, just different theories and schools of thought and ways that you can teach some of these skills and help, our employers embed them into their system. So that's what I'm enjoying, and that's what I hope to be able to, hone in on and bring some of the finer key points to the conference in September.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Tara's going to be one of our keynote speakers, and I'm really excited to hear more about this, because one of the things I think is a challenge for smaller, mid-sized organizations is, how do you find the time, the people to do that development piece? When you're in a big organization, you can't afford to run a person through a boot camp and do all those kinds of things. But when you're a smaller business, you've got to hit the ground running oftentimes. And so how can you run at the same time that you're developing people? And that'll be maybe something for you to think about and bring to us in September.
That's such a great
point. As a small business owner, that is the challenge. Even getting folks to engage in our chamber is quite often, you hear from business owners, well, I'd love to be there. I'm running my business. I can't step away for this business breakfast. So some of the stuff that we try to teach in these business breakfast lunch and learns that we put in on the chamber are kind of like nuggets, so that, let it seep in, see if it starts to work. And then, hopefully if you are having some, improvement in areas, you'll, continue to come to these little bite-sized ways that we can deliver it. And so I will be thinking about that at the conference too. Just, again, busy, business people are busy people.
Yeah. Trying to do it all, wearing all the hats.
Yeah.
But I think that what you bring to us, aligns with my philosophy too, is that you've got to develop people along the way. Mm-hmm. If you aren't developing them, if you're just saying, go do this without a purpose, you're not figuring out how to grow them into the individuals that you want, you're not going to have the organization and the culture that you want. So identifying those key things, I think, is really an important element. You said earlier about core values. So maybe you can share with us a little bit about a few of the core value things that you think would be helpful for an organization to kind of think about, and maybe
values kind of took a flip to me on how I would go about talking about values. Being a nonprofit organization, we are mission driven. Your board of directors casts your mission and your vision. And then, the CEO and staff are those to kind of execute, create objectives along the way that kind of build up towards that mission vision. But your values, the board can certainly have ideas, of course, about values, but when it's your front-facing staff that's really truly who's interacting on a daily basis, they really have to have buy-in to what the values are that are important to them, to the organization. And so our staff this year at our staff retreat, we went ahead and took that sort of task ourselves to really think about what is important to us. What do we see on a daily basis that seems to resonate with our members as being important values? How do we feel good about going into our job every day with the values that are already at our core as well? So it was a fun exercise to go through and read, hundreds of values and different examples of different organizations, and let all of our staff sort of start circling in and honing in and more into trying to make it our own. And, a lot of ours has to do with just being inspiring. There's a lot of I's, like being inspiring and innovative and really being all in, just that our members feel the energy that we're putting into all that we're trying to do for them. So I think values, you got to think about who your front-facing staff is and get them involved. That's who needs to carry it forward for you.
Absolutely.
That's great. Yeah.
I was actually talking with somebody. So I went and grabbed lunch over across the street from you, Tara, at
Yeah.
My Little Cube. And on the way back, I saw somebody, and the conversation was about really wanting to take things to the next level. But the struggle is having the people to be able to do that, right? And so that's the same thing Mike was talking about around how do you grow your business? You're basically building the airplane as you're trying to take off. How do you start that as a small business? What do you need to consider in your mind as you're looking at building something?
You know, something that kind of keeps coming up, and it came up yesterday in a member meeting that I had with someone who runs a small company. The right seat and the right fit, right person, right seat. I don't know how you want to say it. That is so integral to a business. And so really having a fully developed notion of what the skill set needs to look like, and in order for someone to be successful in the role, and then really going after that person. So many of us may run an ad and like a person, and then realize there's just that alignment truly isn't there. So the membership example yesterday is a really good one, because she said, I really, really liked this person, and I put her in this role, and I realized she's terrible. She doesn't know anything about spreadsheets. This isn't going to work out. And, quickly thought, well, there is this other role. And I kind of wondered, I feel like this might be a better fit. And in no way did she think she would be a fit for it initially. But now she's flourishing. It is the fit. It works for the employer. It works for the employee. So there is just something to be said about really being clear on what it is that you need of someone, and recognizing if someone is that right seat and that right fit. Here at the chamber, we, 1.5 employees when I started, and we have 7, and we kind of knew the gaps we needed to go after. But right now we're at that interesting spot where we've grown, we've got 7 people, but now I kind of also wonder, for everyone's continued growth, are we all still in that same role? Because as your company evolves, the people need to be evolving with you, and maybe the person in the one seat that you hired them for has evolved to a different seat. So I think you really have to be very mindful of the right seat and the right person.
Yeah,
I like that. Right seat, the right person, and then what's the transition as they grow and evolve, and what's the next opportunity that exists for them inside the organization? Because I think that if we don't always look at where somebody has an opportunity to grow to, that we sometimes put limits, and that's when people get frustrated in the work that they do, and then pretty soon they lose the interest because they're tired of doing spreadsheets or, whatever it is, because they've got a bigger picture of what's there. And if we go back to your earlier conversation, if we don't know what they want out of the work and what they value from it, then we end up losing sometimes some really good people because they've decided to transition and move on because the challenge is no longer there for them in the work.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there's just so many little subtleties when I talk about, again, what are we going to teach? What are the nuggets we're going to give someone? If I could just offer, I might have talked about this at the mentorship workshop, I'm not sure, but I really like the whole neuroscience behind leadership too. So when I think of having insights and how we all love to have an insight, there's a dopamine fix that's associated with having an insight. But as managers or employers, we're so quick to, if an employee comes to us with a question, to just problem solve and give them the answer, and sort of then, the employer has their aha moment, and they get to feel good for 2 seconds, and the employee might be like, okay, well, that's good, I got my answer, I can go on with my work. But there was an opportunity there for 2 dopamine hits, 2 aha moments, by just really turning it back on the employee. Well, what have you tried? What would you do with your first step? Or just really, again, don't problem solve for them, help them get there. And just those little things, really, really, you'd be so surprised at how reactive someone positively will be, to feel engaged and to be, to have the kind of question flipped on them. And what you're doing is you're getting them to think about their thinking. And again, there's some sort of charge you get off of really thinking about your thinking. So I'm fascinated with how that little subtle change can make a difference. And trust me, in my organization, I forget it all the time. we move so fast. If someone comes to me, I just want to answer the question. But it's really, the times that I slow it down or back it up, boy, I mean, there's some brilliant minds around me, and I love hearing their ideas. And it's a shift, but it's a worthy shift.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's great.
So as you have kind of developed this culture at the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce over the last, how many years has it been?
Almost 5.
5 years. Okay. So as you've kind of developed this, what advice would you give to other chambers that may be listening to this who haven't quite thought about that yet? And then what advice would you give to people looking for a chamber?
I am kind of proud and happy that we sort of stumbled upon this DDO philosophy, or that, the whole idea of a company culture really does matter to your bottom lines. And I feel like if we are the voice of business, we are your nonprofit organization that advocates, lobbies, works to build business resources for our members, then the chambers should be on the forefront of this. They should be learning DDO. We should be teaching DDO. There should be potentially a certification. So I know, my mind's always, clicking around, and I've certainly floated this topic by some of our regional and national conferences to try to get to speak to other chambers about it. But I feel that our chamber probably could package something that is digestible for other chamber leaders to bring into their community and be the facilitators of. So I say get in front of it. It's there, it's real. And if you're not talking that language, using that vernacular with your members, then you are a little behind the curve.
Okay, that's great. What about people looking for a chamber of commerce?
Well, we have folks that have joined us from Yelm and, all kinds of neighboring cities. So typically, it's nice to find chambers within your own community and region. But I know that as a chamber in the South Sound or East Pierce County, our reach is far, and our reach is far because what people really want is to feel a part of a community. They want enough variety and activities and energy that they can kind of insert themselves to the things that make sense. And I know, again, from going to our national conferences and regional conferences, that we swing it a lot. We do a lot. We probably do more than 75 to 80% of other chambers in the way that we really robustly are constantly improving and developing new programs and events to kind of hit the mark on so many levels. That being said, you can only keep swinging, growing. So like now it's time. We're fine tuning because until we can grow of a staff of 14 or double it, then we need to really just kind of focus on what's in front of us. So if I was a business looking for a chamber, I would, do they have an app? Do they post what they're doing? How many networking opportunities do they have? Because really, when I host my 12 at 12 CEO lunch chats once a month, and I ask everybody who attends those, why did you join the chamber? It's still, for the most part, the greatest answer is still that networking sort of component. And really all that is a chamber putting enough opportunities for others to exchange goods and services together. So our wake up that we host every Thursday morning from 9 to 10 that gets 50 to 60 people every Thursday is money in the bank. It's a free event. It's worth your membership. We have such a great loyal community, the kind of I scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of community that really does exchange goods and services very, very well. So I would think, look for those networking opportunities. For some businesses, advocacy is really important, and maybe some chambers lean more into a tourism element than the advocacy. So if getting in front of your legislators and maybe wanting an email back from a city council member or a challenge you have that's very important to you, knowing that a chamber is really leaning into that advocacy part of it would be important. So again, I guess people come for a lot of different ways, and you can tell pretty quickly from a website, their Facebook page, where they lean into what they lean into.
And what I would say, just to kind of highlight this, is that, Chambers for Business is such a valuable resource in all ways. I mean, from, just seeking advice on who do I talk to in the city? Who should I, where do I find this permit? How do I do this?
Right.
All the way to, I look back at like the COVID days and, your chamber specifically being on the forefront of passing out resources. My business certainly wouldn't be here today if you guys hadn't have been at the forefront and pushing things out. And so I think there's just so many different avenues that are fantastic for a chamber. If you guys are listening out there and don't belong to one, I highly recommend you look into your local chamber. So that's awesome. So Tara,
amen to that. I spoke at the Sumner Rotary yesterday, and I start off with, what is a chamber? Because, mythbusters of chambers. A lot of people think we are a government agency, or that it's, your grandfather's social club. and we're not. I kind of yesterday coined, the ABCs of the chamber world, at least for us. A, advocacy. B, business resources. C, community convener. D, we develop leaders. E, economic development. And then F, we are, festivals and fun. So there's a lot of things we hit, but ABCs are a good tight way to talk about it.
That's great. Way to keep it simple. I love that.
Know.
How do people get a hold of you specifically? How if somebody's listening to this, they're like, I need to get a hold of Tara.
Oh, you can email me. You can call our chamber. My email is Tara, Tara, at PuyallupSumnerChamber.com. Our number, 253-845-6755. Hey, find me on Facebook, message me. I'm available. I'm around.
That's awesome. I love that. And also, you, like we said before, you're going to be speaking at this year's Elevate conference, and it's going to be a wonderful time.
Yeah.
What I want to do really quick, I want to give people a kind of a glimpse of what to expect at the Elevate conference, and just play a quick video for them.
Okay.
And Mike, you want to hit play on that for me? Awesome.
Great.
So yeah, we are going to have such a good time. One purpose, one mission, really to help you take your organization to the next level, which is fantastic. So honored to have you come and speak as one of our keynote speakers.
Thrilled.
Yeah, we're just going to have a great time. If you guys want to grab tickets to that, here's a link here you can go to and grab tickets. VIP tickets are still on sale. If you're watching this live, they're still on sale. Actually, I said VIP, I meant early bird. So you can still get those at a discount up until this Saturday, August 12th. So make sure you jump in there early if you want to take advantage of that early bird discount. And yeah, I'm really excited. This is going to be great.
Yeah, thank you so much. I look forward to it too. And thanks for this opportunity to share a little bit about, I guess, to tee it up a little bit.
Yeah, I love it. Right on, my friend. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Guys.
We will talk to you real soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. You guys, I cannot speak highly enough of Tara. She has just done such a fantastic job over the last 5 years, really taking the chamber to the next level in our community and building a team. And, lean into that, lean into the DDO, because when we are intentional with leading our organizations and developing our people, your people is where it's at. The people that are a part of your organization are going to be the ones who help you take your business to the next level. And I can't stress that enough. It's so important. If you have a vision that is bigger than yourself, and I'm just noticing my scratch right here as I'm talking, it looks really gross. I was rock climbing and got a little scratch there, but if I totally lost my train of thought. Where was I, Mike?
So if you're leaning into your business and you're growing and you want to develop your people, come to the Elevate conference, hear Tara and what she has to tell us about deliberately developing your organization and how your pervasive communication about that whole idea is really going to change the direction of your business for the positive.
That's awesome. Thanks for helping me out there at the end of this. You guys, so excited that we get to be here with you, and can't wait to see you at the Elevate conference. Until then, take care. God bless.
Thank you for joining us. Our hope is this episode has been helpful for you today. If it's impacted you in some way, we encourage you to share it with someone. To receive a direct notification of our next episode, click the follow button on your favorite app or platform. You can also watch each episode on YouTube. The links are in the description. If you want to connect with us on a deeper level, go to countercultureleadership.com/resources. We'll see you next week on the Elevate Podcast.